Hey there, Warhammer Fantasy fans. This is Sheeb here on the Codex Jan channel with my baby and another battle report before I head off to my next tournament this Saturday, which I'm pretty stoked about. It's a 2,000 point tournament with a 2,400 point game on the final Saturday, and then on the Sunday, which I won't be attending, but someone's going to be filling in for me. They'll be doing a 2,400 point game and then a 3,000 point game. So it should be good. I've never really played a tournament where we've had those kind of mixed armies. So this we decided to practice with my fellow who's going to take over for me on Sunday. Since there's two 2,400 point games, you might as well practice that. And so here it goes. He has his new Lizardmen army book, and I have my new Dark Elf army book, and we'll see which army book is best, or rather, what general is best. Okay, so he's got a Slan, and he's got the Lore Master, so he's took all his spells. But these are the spells that I rolled for the level 4 Shadow. I saw he had an Ancient Stegodon, and I figured this Cannonball Shot would be a really good, useful spell. Turns out I never used it. Occam's Mindrazor, you're a fool if you don't take it. Every noob knows that. Withering, that's a pretty nasty Hex. So I figured, hey, I rolled it, let's keep it. And then Pit of Shades, which is just equally as nasty as Occam's. Really powerful spells here. I was quite excited. But he had a few other casters, and so he knew a lot of spells too. Okay, let's just take a look at the board and the deployment. Sorry for this part being blurry. I do have a nice picture of his battle lines, but on to the left he has some Chameleon Skinks sneaking up on my Cold Ones. I have a Cold One Knight unit of 6 Cold Ones, plus a General and a BSB. And then we have my level 4 Sorcerers and 20 Dread Spears. And then in the middle we have 21 Executioners, full command on these. And then I am a retard, and I forgot my Corsairs. Luckily, I brought all of my Dark Elves, which just so happened to almost be another 40 models. So there's 41 Corsairs here, and these are proxying. I cannot believe I did that. I always make fun of Dan when he does things like that, but here I am, and I did it. 16 Dark Shards and 2 War Hydras. On his lines, on the other side, we had some Cold One Riders. Then we have some Skinks, Ripperdactyls, Salamander, Temple Guard, Saurus Warriors, Slan outside of the Temple Guard, and Scarvet on a Cold One, Chameleon Skinks, another Salamander, and here I just wanted to show you how stupid I am because I forgot my Corsairs. And then he has another Salamander on the right, and then on the far right, which you can't see out of this picture, is his Ancient Stegodon with a bunch of Skinks on top. You saw that. Pit of Shades. Everything moved up is what you see here. My first spell I cast off was Pit of Shades. It was dispelled with a Dispel Scroll. And then I put Occam's Mindrazor because I really didn't know what else to do. And then fearing that I might be charged, I put it on my Cold One unit just to deter any kind of sneaky charges. He moves up here with his Chameleon Skinks. There's the Stegodon, moves closer to my War Hydras. The Hydras move up quite aggressively. I probably shouldn't have moved him up so far, but he needed a 10, which is a pretty hard charge to make. So I figured I was safe. He has a little bit of an angle, but then he ends up going. And yep, it needed a 10, and his single Scarvet on a Cold One charges into my War Hydra. And this is bad news for the Hydra. His Cold Ones march up, trying to take over the flank and just be a harassment on the left side. So do his Ripperdactyls, and since they are frenzied, he wants to move them and face them in the opposite direction so that they don't have anything to charge, so they don't have to test for their frenzy, which I thought was pretty unique. So he's offering me a rear if I want to go at it. And then his Chameleon Skinks and Salamanders, they just stay there and take some pot shots. Oh, no, they move up into that dice. And then Soto, who's Temple Guard, his Salamander, and his Saurus Warriors. And this other Salamander as well. Really engaging in the middle. Terrain, we just said this one was just going to be difficult terrain for any kind of cav going over it. Everything else was impossible. All right, his first spell was the Curse of Antiheroes. I imagined he didn't really get that one off. I think he actually failed it. But here we go. Here we have another template weapon, which did manage to scatter in between and hit 4 from both. Only killing 1 executioner though, so can't complain about that. And then he casts Tempest on my executioners, which is going to help reduce their weapon skill in combat if he gets in. Flame template shot by the salamander, managed to kill or hit a bunch. I think we lose about 5 or 6 there. We'll see in the next slide. So shooting from his temple, not his temple card, his ancient stegodon with all his skinks on top, managed to put a wound on. So congrats to him. He gets 2 wounds put on him from the Scarvet, and I fluff my attacks so badly. He wins combat with the charge and overruns my Hydra. Yeah. First turn, first game with the new Hydra rules, and I'm not liking him, and he gets somewhere over here. So he overruns like a ton. I think he rolled boxcars. Chameleon Skinks come up, and they're really just shooting at these cold ones, and they are the bane of these cold ones' existence. With a 2-up armor save and my heroes being a 1-up armor save, these guys just make their lives miserable, as you'll see. And rightly so. Good for my opponent for recognizing that how you kill armor saves is just many, many attacks. And poisoned certainly helps. So I charge into these skinks. They manage to stand and shoot and put 2 wounds on me. So fair enough. Or did we already have 1 wound? I think they already had 1 wound on this Hydra. But he goes to town on these guys and overruns hardcore. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, the Ripperdactyl special rule with the little egg that this unit has. This is actually in the cold one unit, so these guys will get some extra crazy attacks when they get to attack this unit, which I was not looking forward to. So I tried to avoid it at all costs. And we just sort of shimmied these guys over and moved them up a little bit. I'm not really sure what I was doing here. I probably should have said rearranged and focused on this flank because we have a lot coming at me. And should have just kind of abandoned these guys to take care of these 2 blocks on their own, but hindsight's 2020. All right, so we have some Dark Shard shooting at some salamanders too. Occam's Mind Razor goes off on the Corsairs. Now the executioners are an inch ahead, so my opponent wisely declares his charges against just the executioners for both blocks and meet on the corner. In shooting back with the Dark Shards, I managed to kill all 4 handlers, not hitting the single salamander. So he goes into beast mode and he just sits there and still gets to fire his weapon and is stubborn. Great. That's just great. There's the dramatic pose with a blurry picture. All right. Here's a bit of what the left flank is. This is my dead pile. We see we have some Ripperdactyls and some cold ones coming up on my cold ones, which you can really see the difference, eh? And the Dark Elf cold ones and the Lizardmen old cold ones, just not as cool looking at all. So that sucks. Oh, I'm gonna go forward. Went to town on them, overran, thunderstomped them to pieces, almost killed them to a man. They ran, they broke, I pursued. Managed to dodge the charge arc of this ancient steg. Beautiful. So here's the charge in, the double charge into the executioners. This is going to hurt. There's only 16 of them left, inch away from these guys, so unfortunate. But we'll see how this combat goes. A hint. I know how it goes, and it doesn't go well for them. All right, what do we got going on here? Oh, so back up. So remember my cold ones, so they just seem like they're sitting there doing nothing. He did a double flee with his chameleons, these skinks, and the salamander. And on his turn, they both rally. So that's why my cold ones are stumbling forward, and that's why they're out in the open like that and not in combat. So he manages to rally them. 50-50 chance, he said, but I don't know, with cold blood, he's never not going to rally, I think. He's got a pretty good odds. All right, so he moves up his cold ones around to mine, and then he moves up his Ripperdactyls really close to mine as well. Yeah, just ensuring that next turn there's probably going to be a flank charge or a rear charge, hoping that these guys either move or attempt to charge and then fail, so that these guys can kind of close in the gaps. All right, there we can see that his overrun, he managed to move his guy over here. Since he was out of the charge arc, he's just sort of getting himself in place. And this poor Scarvet on the cold one, I knock him over so many times. I'm afraid I broke him, but my hand was a magnet to him. All right, so then he turns to face the Hydra and is like, you know what? We don't have to charge you to kill you. We have a buttload of skinks that can shoot our blowpipes at you. And they do shoot at him. All right, in combat, here we go. Attacks. How does it go? Oh, I guess we're not there yet. I'm just waiting for the impending doom to happen. Chameleons, skinks that are following these cold ones, managed to pick off a single cold one. So, hooray for them. Told you that happens. And another cold one goes down. So the back rank's gone, and they're just 6 wide up at the front. Here he shoots his flame template, but falls short, only rolling a 2, so dodges those dark shards. And then, guess what happens here? The Hydra gets shot down. I fail all of my saves. Oh well, those Hydras, they're 160 points. I now know not to send them against something that is shooting, because the sand and shoot option could very well kill them. Alright, so I managed to kill, 7 Temple Guard. And then they get to attack back, and they managed to kill 7 Executioners. But since we get to go again for some reason. Oh no, maybe that's just total. Oh, sorry, baby's coughing here. All right, so since my general is so close, I managed to pass my leadership test and use his inspiring presence, which is able to have these Executioners stand and hold, and then yet another cold one goes down, I believe from another poison attack. Or maybe it was from attack from the Slan. You okay, baby? Him and I are both really sick. That's why we sound really bad. Or really manly. Our voices are so manly. Isn't that right, babe? Alright. So here's something that was a little foolhardy, but I wanted to have some fun. I knew this Scarvet was coming into my flank, and he was going to tear these guys to pieces. So I could either have reformed to face him and then not even get a stand and shoot because he's so close, or I could shoot at this thing and kill the Salamander, or I could charge the Salamander, hopefully kill him, and maybe like overrun and be out of the position from these guys, so that maybe he'll have to attack like the Occam's Mind Razor unit or something like that. So that was my logic when charging in Dark Shards into a Salamander. It turns out it probably wasn't the best thing to do, but c'est la vie. The combat doesn't go really in my favor, that Dark Shards versus the Salamander. But you see here, the Cold One unit makes a long charge. I think I needed a 10 or an 11. Makes it against these skinks, who stand and shoot and manage to kill another one. That's why you saw the other one that was killed from before. It wasn't from the slant shooting. It was from the stand and shoot reaction there. Here's my Dark Shards in combat here. I also shimmied over as far right to make sure that my wheel was to maximize just these 6 guys. Just so that there was no way that Scarvet on a cold one could come in at their flank, because they are out of his charge arc. Alright, so now we have the Occam's Mind Razor Corsairs going into the Saurus and the Temple Guard, and this is going to be a really bloody combat, as you'll see here in just a moment. Woo! So I managed to also, on top of Occam's, like if that wasn't bad enough, I managed to cast the Withering on the Temple Guard, reducing their weapon skill down by 3, which was fantastic. And this is a remains in play spell. Devastating Hex. Salamander kills 2 of my guys. I managed to put a wound on him, but we tie combat, and we're just going to sit there. My cold ones just destroy the skinks, as to be expected. They flee off the board. I restrain and reform to face the salamander and the other doom up here. Maybe I'm probably going to go for the salamander, but I was thinking maybe I could go and wipe out some people over here if I needed to. All right, combat. This is his dead pile, and this is just after the Corsairs have attacked. And interesting enough, I forgot I was in horde formation, so I only attacked with the front 2 ranks, so I only got 30 attacks when I should have been getting 20 plus 20 more for the second and third ranks. I should have had 40 attacks, but I only rolled 30. Probably would have made a difference because I was a champ with these guys all game. There's times where these Corsairs only failed to hit like once out of like all of the 30. And then to wounding was nuts. And then with murderous prowess, it is devastating. I was wounding on 2s anyway, so when I was rolling a 1, it was like another hit. It was like a guaranteed slaughter. It was pretty fantastic. He made a bunch of parry saves just because he had to, and he did a good job. Temple Guard and the Executioners go. I managed to kill off another, 7. Fantastic. I was always strike first, so I was looking pretty good at my devastation. Probably should have killed another 5 or 6 at least Saurus, but whatever's. He went to town on the Executioners, just had all his attacks kind of trying to focus down on this one unit. Really left his Corsairs untouched until the Saurus attacked, and he only managed to kill, I believe, 3 of them, because there was a 2 dice representing 2 models plus this model, plus these 6. So yeah, not a lot. I definitely win combat, and he was running. And then my pursue rolls were both equally exactly 6. I wasn't even close enough to overrun into the slam, which I was kind of miffed because I would usually roll big on things like that when I need them to. Oh well, they run away, and the slam is there. Combat goes a bit better here. I managed to take a single wound off him, so he's down to 1. And he didn't kill any of my guys, and you see we are out of his charge arc. That is clearly out. Alright, he gets Wisdom's Wild Form off on his Saurus because they rally, because they are cold-blooded. And then he gets the spell off, I think it's Walk Between Worlds, where he picks up the unit and is allowed to move them 20 inches and then reform them into any direction. So both the Saurus and the Temple Guard rally, and then he moves them to face the flank of the Executioners. You okay, baby? You're okay. And then look what comes barreling in. Oh, so close. That Stegodon's going to be charging in here and doing some impact hits. So I have got to do something here. Hopefully kill him this turn. Alright, so I send both my Executioners and my Corsairs into the Saurus unit since these Temple Guard are out of my charge arc. Occam's Mindrazor is back on these guys again, irresistibly this time, and I'm loving it. And interesting enough, I didn't show this picture earlier before. These guys were actually facing this way, like they were with the Sorceress. Ripperdactyls were forced due to frenzy to charge the closest unit, which was not the cold ones, but these guys. So unfortunately, they wanted to go against the cold ones, but they ended up going against my Dread Spears. After a first round of combat and only killing, I think, 1 guy, I was able to reform and face them, so I get my ranks, and my wizard can stay out of combat because they directed a lot of attacks on her, and she was down 2 wounds. So she's got 1 wound left, and these guys are quite nasty, but I'm pretty sure I got this one in the bag here. And my cold ones, knights, charge the salamander, and they just destroy him. Alright, so there we go. There's the 2 wounds on the Lady Saurus, Supreme Sorcerer, or Sorceress. Alright, Occam's on these guys. Time to roll, and we roll big. We roll big. And there is the guys who are slaughtered. Again, this is where I still only attack with 30 guys, and I could have been attacking with 40 because I am in horde formation, but I'm a noob. Kill so many. He managed to take out all the Executioners because his Scarvet managed to put all his attacks onto him, and good for them. Get the points there. They did manage to attack back because they do have Whistle's wild form on, and they were able to kill off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's about right. And I outnumber him, and I really expect to break them, but he was within his general and within the BSB, and they're cold-blooded, so much for wishing they make it. These guys reform, but they lost another man. That sucks. Wounds on the BSB. 4 Cold One Knights left. Set up to charge either the Slan or this unit of Cold Ones on his side. Combat really goes my way. Lots of spears. Attack the Ripperdactyls. This one's sitting on 1, but he manages to kill my level 4 sorceress, even with a 4 up ward. She's down, and then a single man. And then because he is close to his general, and which is the BSB, he is able to use his Inspiring Presence. We remember that after he failed his leadership, and we're like, hey, your general's right there. You can still use him. And yes, he could. So they ended up sticking. Shame. So there's a look at the battlefield there. And then his Scarvet on a Cold One, who didn't really know what to do the whole game, made it another insane long charge. I think he needed an 11 or a 10, and made it again. So he comes into the rear of these Dread Spears, and now I'm looking like I have no hope. I was hoping to kill them over under the Skinks, and then be a little bit further away so I can turn around and reform at this time, and then face the oncoming threat, but no such luck. At this time, the store was coming to a close, and he managed to do a rear charge and a flank charge, and managed to get them both really long charges. I still have Occam's off, and he has a magic phase to really buff these guys. He doesn't dispel the withering, but he puts on a buttload of spells on these guys. We'll see. Skinks just move up to shoot at the Cold Ones. Hopefully to take another shot off there. The Stegodon rolls into the Dark Shards, and as you can imagine, just going to level them. More Whistle's wild form on, and Hand of Glory on the Saurus, making them perform a lot better, increasing their weapon skill. Whoa, baby. All right, Dark Shards just get rolled over by that Stegodon. It was awesome. We killed the Ripperdactyls, then we take a Scarvet into the rear. That's not going to end well. I managed to figure out that I am in Horde formation, and why aren't I using 40 attacks when I have them? Too bad I'm missing my last back rank. Oh well. And then here's where we did something stupid, or I did something stupid. The guy was after 8:30. The store closed at 8 o'clock. He was being nice and letting us stay open. I should have split my attacks here, and then here, and then here, and then I possibly could have had a chance of maintaining combat, since I do always strike first, and maybe kill more guys all around. But it was at the end of the game, and I was like, you know what? I just rolled all 30 attacks or 40 attacks. I'm just directing them all against the Saurus. And he was like, okay. And so he killed him. There was only 9 left, and I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And I had so many wounds. I had up to, I think it was close to being like 23 or something, like ridiculous. Maybe even like 17. No, it was like 22 hits and like 17 wounds. I could have split them up and killed a lot. I could have killed these units and put some on the Scarvet and probably did all right. Not sure what I was going to do with the Temple Guard. But alas, I didn't. And he managed to kill me. And then we decided to call the game, because at that point it was looking pretty grim. The Chameleon Skinks managed to kill off 2 more of my Cold One Knights. Just devastating. The bane of the Cold One's existence this entire game. It was a lot of fun. I feel like we got to use our special rules and really practice them. I've never played a game with the new Dark Elf rulebook, and then just bringing it to a tournament probably wasn't the best idea without playing first. So I'm glad I got the game in. I think it went really well for me. There's a couple things didn't really go my way with the Hydras losing, but those are things you live and learn, and hopefully we won't make those mistakes in the tournament. Thanks for watching, guys.